We saw in our store personally, we got very blessed. I'm not sure if you know the YouTuber content creator Deep Pocket Monster, but we got super lucky that he came down to our store one day for a challenge, and he really showcased us just on a whim, and that really grew our Pokemon community. And they started realizing, like, wait, so this store not only sells a product, but they have a full league going too.
First thing we'll start with, Jimmy, is if you could tell us like where you come from, like where you grew up, like your background, what got you into gaming, and how it all translated into a game store.
Yeah, absolutely. I still live in my hometown of Imperial Beach. Our stake to fame is we're the most southwestern city in America. We're the last beach right before you hit Mexico and California. Um, uh, didn't grow up with a lot of money, and back then cardboard used to be cheap. So we would play games. I actually got into Magic in the late '90s. Magic the Gathering. Was walking down the street and there was a yard sale that was going on, and the guy was selling some Magic cards. And so I had bought the Magic cards, came home, started playing with my brothers. It was actually a good way of advancing our reading skills because you had to read cards. They're a lot more fun than reading books at the time. I mean, unless it was Dr. Seuss, you know what I mean? And yes, we just started playing Magic in the '90s. I was born in '86 to give some context, and and then the Pokemon craze happened, and then so the Magic cards kind of got put to the side, and we started heavily collecting Pokemon as kids. Um, my older brothers were always into sports cards. I never got into it, but once I got my hands on some Magic cards and the Pokemon cards, I was like, hey, well, this is cards I can do. Um, Fast forward, kind of just fell out of the card scene. Sports became more the focus. I played a lot of football. I played football for the high school, played football middle school. Um, and then I became an educator. So I'm actually a public school teacher. Me and my wife both are. And I taught chemistry at San Diego High down here in San Diego. And you kind of have to run a club. It's not mandatory, but you definitely look down upon if you don't run a club. And so some students approached me and said, "Hey, can we run the tabletop club?" So what's tabletop club? And he's like, "Oh, it's D&D and card games." Like, man, I tried to play D&D as a kid. Yeah, I'm definitely down for that club. And that was 10 years ago. So after running the club for many, many years, I realized kids need a safe place outside of school to play games. I saw how my club grew to like 40 something kids, and it was every week. But outside of that one interaction once a week on campus, there was no other place for them to really play in town. And so I got together with my brother who works at the University of San Diego. I got together with my another buddy, Thomas Liu, that I went to San Diego State with, who's also an educator. And I said, hey man, we should open a place for kids to come in the South Bay, in a rough neighborhood, in an area that needs an outlet that is positive and safe to play these games. And so we acquired a building through a family member, and we just got to work. We built all our tables ourselves. They're custom 10-foot tables. One building used to be an optometrist office, and the other building was a family church. And so our setup's a little unique. We have one building that is a retail side, and then another building next door, that's our playroom. So our playroom's a little over 1,000 square feet, and then our retail side is about 750 square feet. It allows the separation between the two areas, so that when it's getting crazy in here, which I'm sitting in the playroom right now, it's more relaxed and easy shopping in the retail side. And so, yeah, we just made it for a fun place for kids to do safe activities and stay off the street. But what we realized is we are the kids because it's a mix of people my age, and we do get kids as well. Like this today, we have the release of the new One Piece deck that everybody's excited about, ST 15 through 20. And we also have a major Beyblade competition. So we're one of the only places in the South Bay, in Southern California, that does Beyblade. So every week we have families driving down from LA, Merced, um, Temecula to play Beyblade because that's the only place they can.
I've heard too with Beyblade that, I was born in '88. To add,
Oh,
to add context onto what you said too before, so we're in the same generation, and from what I've heard from another store is that Beyblade tends to skew more our age in terms of people that play it, which I found kind of fascinating. Do you see that too in California?
oh, absolutely. I would say originally our community was all people
Wow.
our age, or maybe 8 years younger to our age. And as it grew, we connected with the World Beyblade Organization, is the WBO, and through the WBO, we started hosting our events through there. I became an official judge, an official store through it, because at that time, right now, Hasbro, owning everything that it owns, has now started to roll out their own program. It's going to be connected to the companion app, just like Magic the Gathering uses. But
Hmm.
before that, that wasn't an option. So, and it's still rolling out, but it'll be here soon. So we use Challenge and we post our events through the WBO. And once we started doing that, that's when the kids started coming. So we have kids as young as 6 all the way to people our age playing weekly here, and it's not different divisions, they play in the same division together. And so when we do our top 8, you'll see a 10-year old, a 12-year old, a 34-year old, a 28-year old, right? Like just a variety of diversity among ages, with the events.
That's fascinating that, you have that wide of a age range that plays in the game now. I never played Beyblade myself, but to hear, the original audience for, that was attracted to the game skewing our age, and now you see the younger kids getting into it. It's almost like you see the kind of trend with what's going on with Pokemon right now. Like, that started when we were kids, and now it's transitioned into this whole wide swath of a craze that's gone on that you know, I'm grateful for because it actually brought me back to collecting it again. And I'm just curious from seeing from when we were kids to how it was, not many people played, at least in my area, but it was more of a collector market to what you're seeing today with your store. What have you seen over the last, I would say 5 years or so? Because we saw it spike heavily in 2020.
Yeah, so we actually opened up right at that spike. I mean, we had plans originally, but COVID was COVID, right? And so it slowed us down. So we got up and running, and we saw primarily just collecting. Pokemon's one of those games where the majority of the community is a collector, but there are players out there, and we've definitely seen an increase in players. We actually have the surging Sparks pre-release today, this evening after the Beyblade and One Piece event. We saw in our store personally, we got very blessed. I'm not sure if you know the YouTuber content creator Deep Pocket Monster, but we got super lucky that he came down to our store one day for a challenge, and he really showcased us just on a whim. And that really grew our Pokemon community, and they started realizing, like, wait, so this store not only sells a product, but they have a full league going too. And then we linked up with a young man called the Pokey Professor, who we really like to promote because he does a free clinic at the Chula Vista Library for young kids. It's not for adults, it's just for young kids, the future of Pokemon players, where he puts on a free clinic where he teaches kids how to play Pokemon, builds them basic level decks, and gives them for free, so that they can start playing. And through those different avenues, we're starting to see that most of our people coming through buying Pokemon are also players. And when we're seeing people asking us, "Oh, can I see your singles? Can I see your singles?" They're not necessarily looking for those high ticket collector items. They're looking for those commons and uncommons or non alt arts because they're trying to put them in their deck to complete that deck. And that new rotation that's going on with Pokemon, it's making people have to net deck, have conversations, collaborations on what's going to be the next move to keep my deck going now that the next letter phases off.
That's interesting to see how the game has progressed over the years. Something I personally would have never expected. I mean, my attachment to it still is the characters, the original ones that you and I would have grown up with. But I'm thinking about like where your store is located. I know you brought up Deep Pocket Monster. It's actually, believe it or not, how I found out about your store and made me want to reach out. So talk about coming full circle there. I thought was quite ironic. Um, but with that in mind, you're located in Chula Vista, California.
Yeah, we're actually in Chula Vista, California on Hilltop Drive. We chose this location because it's between four different schools, two middle schools and two high schools. So Hilltop Middle, Hilltop High, Castle Park Middle, Castle Park High. We thought it was going to be a good hub for that local community to give them a safe place. And being all educators, that's what was important to us.
And that's Southern California you're in, right?
Yeah, San Diego. So Chula Vista is a town within San Diego.
Okay. Yeah. So what was it like when Deep Pocket Monster came to your store and showcased it? I know it like you mentioned, it had helped. I was curious if you knew of him at the time when he first came in, or was that your first engagement with him?
That was actually my first engagement with him. So there's another creator, and he's doing a really cool booth, really nice guy. And we have a thing called the Ninja Exchange in Carlsbad, California, and it's kind of like a indoor swap meet. If I mean to try to explain it, they have their all separate booths. They're there every week. It's open on the weekends, and there's a gentleman there that runs a program called MinMax. And so he had reached out to us. He was a player of ours when it came to One Piece and other games, but he's a big Pokemon guy. And so he reached out to us and asked us, like, hey, would you be interested in a trade night? I noticed you guys haven't held one yet. I said, yeah, I know. We know we've been really focused in the tournament play. But yeah, we would love to do a trade night and get the community in here. And so we collaborated with him, and he created the trade night. And he must have had some connection with Deep Pocket Monster, or they follow each other, because Deep Pocket Monsters saw his advertisement at our store for the trade night. And then he had got that challenge. I'm not sure. I assume you had watched his video of our store. He had got that challenge and said, "Hey, well, I know about this trade night at this place called Tabletop Tavern in Chula Vista. It's like an hour and a half drive. Never been there. Let's hit it." So he came in. A lot of the people recognized him when he walked in, and there's kind of like commotions and chattering going on. And I was like, oh, this guy must be, somebody in the community. I didn't realize the level that he was. And let me
Right.
just, what a humble guy. What just a nice individual. And towards the end of that video, I'm so glad that it showcases that how our community is. He actually left a high ticket binder in our store, left about an hour later. He left it in the middle of the trade night, left, realized he left the binder, jetted back, and the binder was still there. Some guy said, hey, I know I saw you left this. I held on to it for you. Here you go, and gave him the binder.
Well, that's really nice. Nice to know you
Yeah.
have that type of community around there.
Absolutely, man. It was just the all around super cool interaction. And then I actually got to do a couple more events with him. There was some big events in Del Mar that Slim Rips, I don't know if you've heard of Slim Rips, good friend of ours. He he was putting on this event, Pokemon Alley at Del Mar Fairgrounds, and he reached out to us and said, "Hey, man, I need a store to run our Pokemon event, our Digimon event. Do you think you could help us out?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. I'll come through some of my staff and we'll run that event for you, of course, free of charge." It was just for the community. It was more of a community building event, and Deep Pocket was there again. And so we got to chat, and that time I had known what he was, saw the video, saw the traction, heard the buzz, watched some other his videos, and I got to have that really good conversation with him about his journey, what he did, and what he's done for us.
That's awesome. I'm glad you had that interaction. I'm glad the positive effect it's had on the store too. Just the publicity, getting people aware of what you guys are doing. It's a great thing to see. I'm happy for you.
Oh yeah, us likewise, man. It's been great.
And what are some of the most popular games? Obviously, Pokemon, I know, is one of them just by looking at your website. And I saw Magic the Gathering. And I also saw Flesh and Blood is what you note on your store. But on your website, I know you sell a wide variety of products. So with those three, I would imagine, would those be, is it fair to say that those are the three main games that people are coming into your store for?
I wish I was more of a website tech guru, man. It's that was our that's our best attempt. Our website. I think our social media on Instagram at the TCG Tavern, also on our Twitch at the TCG Tavern, showcases a little bit better than our website does. Honestly, the Bandai games are killing it. Now, I guess this is where I'm gonna talk my crass a little bit here because Bandai does piss me off. I'm a Bandai Gold store. I've been a Bandai affiliate since the beginning when Digimon was dropping, and at the cusp of COVID, and we've had a great relationship with Bandai. Bandai's come out and held, like, when the Zenkai series for Dragon Ball came out, they came to our store because they were doing a Comic Con event. The developer of the game came out and brought exclusive cards, signed a bunch of cards for players. We had a really cool event. This last Comic Con that just happened, head of HR, the North American liaison, and another developer from Bandai that was really working with, like, the Battle Spirits game came out, and we got a good conversation. And the allocations had just been terrible with Bandai and Alliance Games, the distributor. We've just had a lot of trouble with those guys. Thank God, distributors like PhD, our sales rep Brian is amazing, and GTS has really pulled through for us where they have been lacking. But those Bandai games are super popular. I would say our most popular game here is a toss-up between Magic the Gathering and One Piece TCG. Pokemon being definitely right behind them. And then this new Union Arena game's really taking off. People are loving that. Beyblade, honestly, even though it's not a card game, I mean, we're getting 20 to 30 people each week. Our playroom hosts 60 people, and even on weekdays, it's usually standing room only in here. We've hosted some large events for Flesh and Blood, however, but like the weekly scene is a little tough. Being in the South Bay, a lot of that scene is up in northern San Diego. And if you watched Deep Pocket Monsters video, he got stuck in some traffic on the way down. And so San Diego traffic is not the most fun thing to be in, and we are south. And so the weekly scene with Flesh and Blood's a little rough, but the big events do happen. And although we have no weekly scene for the Final Fantasy TCG, we host their Materia Cups every year, and we're talking 128 people come through for those events, the 2-day event. So it's kind of the breakdown right there. And then Lorcana, of course. Lorcana's hot. It's new. They're doing a great job with their PR and their OP events and their promos, and so that's been building as well.
And I do see that you guys are open the majority of the week, except on Mondays. And I noticed that's a very consistent thing amongst game stores. Is Mondays tend to be a day where the store isn't open. And I wanted to hear what your reasoning is for why you guys aren't open on Mondays. I'm curious if it's along the same reasons of what I've heard before.
Well, honestly, we started not being open on Mondays from the jump because like I said, we opened in that transition. COVID was absolutely a thing, and vaccines had come out, but there was still a lot of fear around COVID during that time. So we were closed on Mondays for deep cleans and sanitations. I mean, we would do obviously sanitizing every single day, clean every single day. But on Mondays, it gave us a whole day to just make sure that everything was clean and sanitized, and we could run air purifiers and stuff like that. Just in addition to our daily cleaning, we're all educators. We work at public schools all day, and then we have to get off work and come here. It's a labor of love. So that one Monday being closed allowed us to give that extra care to the store so that we can have a better store for the community.
That's understandable. I mean, the example I've also heard from other stores is that Mondays were slower days in terms of because it's the start of the work week and the likelihood of people coming out to the store to play is probably going to be less likely. Did that factor in at all? Or because based on what you're saying, since it was from the get for you guys, it didn't seem like it was like something you originally were open on Mondays and then had to retroactively adjust the schedule.
Yeah, so shout out to Brute Force Games, Sean Johnson, wonderful human being. That was our LGS. We still call it our LGS. I love going there. It's being a store owner. There's always a target on your back when you try to play in your own store, right? Everybody always wants to beat you, so it's nice to go to Brute Force and just play and just be a customer. But we started when we were going there. We realized Mondays were slower across the stores we were playing at. So when we looked at wanting to be closed one day, um, we decided, well, let's look at when everybody else is slower, or let's look when everybody else is closed. And we just started asking questions, friendly conversations, and we realized, yeah, Monday's like the slower day of the week. It's coming right after the weekend. So we decided that we would do Mondays then because it seems to be following that trend. And then, but the reason why we wanted to be closed one day a week was for the deep clean and sanitation. But we chose Monday because we saw that trend.
Okay. And how have you felt since opening the store till now? Because you mentioned you opened 2020, I believe.
Yeah, right towards the end. Yeah.
Okay. And so from that point until now, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned thus far? And like, what have been some of the growing pains?
Oh man, the biggest lesson I've learned so far is you have to rely on other people. It doesn't matter how good we do, how well we plan. It really doesn't matter how well we do until product arrives. um, Product scarcity, allocations, all the above, from distributors to manufacturers, when the ports shut down. And then we saw that scare just recently with those Eastern ports. There's
Mhm.
so many factors that you just can't control that was really hard for me in the beginning because we spent so much time and labor into this. And then an event would just be completely ruined because a distributor couldn't provide the products, or UPS is terrible, right? UPS will say, "Oh, nobody was there." And I'm like, "Man, I paid an employee to be here all day, and I can see on the cameras they were here all day." And UPS just claimed that we weren't open, they couldn't deliver the package, or they delivered to the wrong address. Right? When $50,000 of Pokemon shows up at the wrong address, they usually aren't working too hard to find who the real owner is. They're like, "Yeah, we came up," and you got to really track down where that product went. We luckily, knock on wood, my tables are wood, so knock on wood. We've been able to recover those packages, but that's been the biggest lesson learned is you have to be able to be okay that there's stuff out of your control and be able to adapt and react to that. And I've been really lucky. The other one is labor, employees. I mean, we're all married, so and our wives that don't play these games like we do, and so we can't just be here all day like we want to be. um, so you have to rely on employees that are trustworthy and good. And we've been really fortunate that we have a solid staff that really love these games. They all have their individual talents, whether it be working on the streams, making flyers, running events, knowing how to manipulate the softwares and stuff like that. So it's that's been about it.
That's awesome that you have that kind of support, helping to facilitate the various things that need to get done within the store. How many employees do you currently have?
So we have us three, which is myself, my brother Mike, and my partner Thomas, business partner Thomas, and then we have John, who's our retail manager, fantastic guy. We have Stuffy, Leah, and Anthony that are all tournament organizers that help run events and do various things for us.
Oh, that's awesome. And you mentioned, which was unique, something that I've heard on the show thus far is, I mean, I've heard other stores mention like you have that you all have like little specialties here and there throughout the store. The streaming thing piqued my interest because that's starting to become a thing you're seeing more and more stores do. So I was hoping you could talk a little bit about like how that's helped the store from whether it be a sales perspective, notoriety in terms of the store's brand, what types of ways and things you've integrated to utilize that platform as a benefit for to the business.
I felt like some of the Japanese companies were a little bit more hesitant to coming out of COVID and supporting official play. And one of those companies was Square Enix with Final Fantasy TCG, a game I love. I'm a Magic guy through and through, but my side. One of my side games was Final Fantasy TCG, and so I met that community, and they reached out to us and said, "Hey, we're getting back into OP. When we're a little late on the game here, and we want to hit it hard. We want to come back and say we are back." And so they reached out to us to run an event called Re-Raise. Large event, about 100 people. And one of the requirements, though, was we had to stream the event. And so that really pushed us to look at how are we going to set up a stream setup. We had an employee at the time named Victor. He's an educator now. He's a teacher. But while he was going to SDSU, go Aztecs, we're all alumni from there. He was working here, and he actually worked with us to create the stream platform that we did. My brother, he's a tech admin over at USD, so the two of them worked together on creating our stream platform. From there, we invested the time and money and set up to doing it. So we just decided, hey, every day we're running events. We're running 3 to 4 events a day. This place is packed. We should turn that camera on every day. And so they got together and they made the stream layout through Twitch and customized it with their own emotes and stuff like that. And we started streaming. We went from, I don't know, 3. We did a big events like the Final Fantasy event. You'd have 100 and something viewers. But outside of that, we're having like 3, 6, maybe 1 or 2 comments. Nothing big. But now, I mean, when we're streaming the Bandai events, we're getting 50, 60, a live chat going on, people actually talking about the moves, loving looking through it and saying, oh, like they're actually commenting on, hey, that was a strategy that I didn't see. I might put that in my deck now. And that interaction is super cool. And then our players go back and watch their streams when they know that they were on the stream table to see where they misplayed, or to look at the chat box and be like, oh, you know what? That guy had a really good suggestion. I have no idea who Snuffleupagus 84 is, but he gave me a really good idea on how to play that next time I see that card. And so that's how the stream community built, and just plugging it on our social media all the time. We've noticed that we're gaining traction and views. We're getting more sales that are directly through our website instead of going through third-party sites like TCG Player or Card Trader. And then the revenue from Twitch, I mean, every once in a while we get a little message like, hey, a deposit's coming through, and we're like, oh, that's awesome. We just take that money and put it right back into our stream setup. Right now we stream the top table, so that whoever's on the top table is being streamed. But we've been purchasing equipment. We're about to do a big renovation in here to expand. We have 3 buildings and we're only using 2 of them right now. So we're about to knock down a wall and really blow this out to be able to host about 100 people inside the building. Because right now when we have those big events, we turn our parking lot into a big quinceañera tent, and we turn our parking lot into a big outdoor venue for those. But we're about to be able to house that indoor, and we're hoping to be streaming the top 8 tables each night.
That's a luxury I don't think many stores have, is having that extra space to determine what to do with it when they're ready to expand to that point. That's just like such a great position to be in. Did that always exist there for you, or did you acquire like that piece of the building to then later decide we're going to use it at some point?
So one of Thomas's family members, his aunt, who has just been just the sweetest thing to us, had this property in this neighborhood and was like, hey, COVID happened and a lot of the businesses are not there no more because COVID happened. And people retired, churches weren't allowed to meet anymore, right? Because the building was a church. And so when we first got it, we got just the retail side. And in that 750 square foot little space, we had a retail and we had a play area. And we actually ran our first Magic the Gathering draft events and pre-release events in that small area. And we started gaining traction. So then we changed our rental agreement to take on the building next door, which was now the playroom. And we worked on that. And then from there, we were like, hey, we wanted to do food. So we opened up Tabletop Tasties, and it was a play. We have a couple food options around us: some Mexican food, some Italian food, like a pizza shop, But there was no burgers, and people were saying like, "Man, I gotta drive down the block and go down Third Avenue to find the nearest Jack in the Box to get a burger." So we opened up Tabletop Tasties, where you could get a half-pound burger and fries for $10 even. And so that's why we acquired the third building originally. It was We were pumping out 40 burgers a day. People loved it. It was a great value, great burger. My mother-in-law helped with creating all the sauces, different aiolis and chipotles. My wife got involved to help her, and it was a really good thing. And then we had a sewer pipe break. Shift happens in California, where we were definitely on a fault, and some shift happened, and a sewer line broke, and it really slowed us down. So we had to ourselves. We're construction workers as kids. My dad runs Soltech Pacific Construction Company, and so we're hands-on guys. That's how we built this thing ourselves. And so we got the jackhammers out, and we broke the foundation, and we dug a 5-foot hole. It's about 20 feet long inside that third building. We ripped out the old cast iron. We put brand new pipes in there. And so that may have killed the burgers at that time. It's coming back. It's coming back. But in doing so, we really realized the space we had. And doing all that work on the pipe, we started redoing the inside of that building. And so right now, the inside of that building's almost done. And the players don't even know, because they haven't been able to go in there since the pipe broke, which has been about 8 months, 9 months process. It's almost done in there, so that one day they're going to walk in, there's going to be a hole in the wall over here, and it's going to be like a whole new world to them over there. And the burgers will be back, and the bigger play area will be there.
That's awesome. It gives them something to look forward to. It's constantly showing that you're adding to the store, trying to make it as best as you can. Which going back to what you had mentioned earlier about being designated as a gold store. Is that like the equivalent of Magic's WPN Premium? We're going to take a quick break from this podcast to talk about our sponsor, Cardboard Shuffle. Cardboard Shuffle was our 10th podcast interview here at the Match Slip with store owner Mark. Mark has expanded his brand and has produced his own card sleeves called Shuffle Shields. Shuffle Shields come in packs of 100 premium matte card sleeves for standard size trading cards. They contain no PVC and are acid free. I have 17 packs of Shuffle Shields card sleeves to give away to listeners of the podcast and followers of the Match Slip on social media. Requests for a free pack of card sleeves shipped for free to you will be processed on a first-come, first-served basis. To receive your free pack of Shuffle Shields, you'll need to send a screenshot that you're following Cardboard Shuffle on Facebook to frank@thematchlip.com. Being designated as a gold store, is that like the equivalent of Magic's WPN Premium?
Yeah, so it's like currently it's the highest level that you can be with Bandai. We actually had, and yeah, I love Magic, I love Wizards of the Coast, I love WPN. We're a WPN store, but we actually got trashed on recently. Some WPN reps came in, and they were like, "Nah, no, this store will never do," because we reached our numbers, right? We hit a segment of numbers consistently where we could go premium based on our player base. And so they were visiting Brute Force Games, who is a WPN premium, and love shouting those guys out. And so they were like, "We're already in town." They contacted me via email and asked, "Hey, can we come to your store and check your store out? Like, you've hit these parameters." And I said, "Yeah, come through, man." They're like, "Hey, there's nothing you need to do to prepare it. We're just going to come through and have a chat." So they came through and just trashed us, man. I mean, they just went through like, "You would have to knock this whole place down and rebuild. You guys should just move somewhere else. This place is trashy." And I'm like, "Wow, man, we put a lot of work into this, and we've built a really nice store, and people love our store. Obviously, we hit the numbers, like we keep a clean store, and I'm not sure why." And we carpeted all our tables, because we also play board games in here, and not everybody has a play mat, right? So we took some nice thick tight outdoor carpet and carpeted all our tables. So if you don't have a play mat, your cards are still protected. Or if you're playing Warhammer or Star Wars Legion, you have a nice carpeted area to protect your stuff. You're playing a board game, you have play mats for board games, but you do if your table's a giant play mat. And they hated it. WPN hated it, and so they let us know that we wouldn't be WPN Premium unless we moved locations. But you know what? Bushiroad loves us. Bandai loves us. Flesh and Blood loves us. Um, I can't really say too much details on it because it's kind of an embargo right now. But I can tell you, Fantasy Flight Games with the Star Wars Unlimited game loves us, and there's going to be a rather large event coming up here at our store. So took an L with Wizards, but we've been taking a lot of W's with the other manufacturers.
And you're developing the relationship with the community too. And if if it's one manufacturer that has a complaint, but all the others you get along with great, that seems like a win in my book. Like as the saying goes, you can't please everybody.
Absolutely. And when we have our players come in here and it's a full house, it'll just be quiet. People are playing, something cool will happen. Somebody will pull a manga card out of One Piece and the whole room erupts. People start pounding on tables, tabletop, tabletop. Like it just loves it. And so it's like, you know what? I took an L with them, but this community, that's all I care about. And as long as they're happy, we're happy. And just
Yeah.
to throw it out there, we all have our careers and we take $0 from this store. None of us. I mean, our employees get paid, obviously, but the three of us that created this thing, not a single one of us has ever taken $1 from the store.
So it's all gets put back in.
That's how we've been able to keep expanding, keep growing. And after this room's done, we have a back patio that spans the whole length of our building. You know, all three buildings, massive back patio there with lights and overhang awnings. That's the next piece we're working on there. Cornhole, bonfire pit. So that'll be the next expansion. And that's what we do. This is not a cash grab. This is a community building, giving something back to Chula Vista because we know San Diego has given so much to us.
That's great to hear. I mean, always continuing to iterate on whatever you currently have so that, essentially by you investing back into the business, you're encouraging people to continue to come back to it.
Absolutely. I love when people come back and like, whoa, when did you guys do that? Oh, that was good. You know?
Has being an educator, have you found that it parallels in any way to helping you run the game store? Have you been able to take anything from that world and bring it into your store?
Yeah, a couple things. I think it comes down to when we're teaching new players how to play, having those strategies that I use every day in the classroom. Everybody who's a teacher knows it's a show, right? You go on stage. Doesn't matter how your day's going. You have to and then, hey, it's the Mr. Vieira show, right? You got to be there for the kids. You got to be able to be animated and a ham. And so we bring that to the store to make us a lively bunch and to bring a lot of fun in there. But I think really it comes down to when I'm teaching the players how to play a new game and showing them and using those different strategies to do so.
That's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed too that, any stage of your life, like you can gather little bits and pieces from it that, maybe at the time you don't think it's going to help you in whatever venture or whatever part of your life you're entering. But it's funny how those past experiences, even if you're in them currently or not, they somehow create an overlap into how life is for you at the present time. So it's very cool to see how you're parlaying the two things together.
Yeah, and I give a lot of. I work for the state and I work for the taxpayers, and that means something to me, right? That does mean something to me. And so any skills that I acquire from that role in life, I love to use those to give back to the community around me. Because if it wasn't for the community, I wouldn't have a job. And if it wasn't for my job, I wouldn't have a store, right? If I didn't have a store, I would have the community. So it is really full circle. I think also the integrity that we have as employees and educators has allowed us to not jump into like the shameless price gouging we've seen other stores do. And we keep it to ourselves. We try not to. But we see it. You know, when Lorcana came out and we are selling boxes at MSRP, and the store down the road is selling for $250. And and that those kinds of practices and that kind of integrity has allowed us to build a community that knows, like, tabletop taverns for the community. They're not out here to price gouge and pay their bills. They're out here to build the community and keep a store alive. Because let's be honest, stores come and go all the time.
Yeah. It's very true, and to withstand the test of time and to stay in business in a labor of love industry, essentially, is what it is. It's putting that effort back, which you're clearly doing. Now, in addition to being an educator with the store, I know it's got to be a lot. Having essentially two careers in a way. Um, what free time do you have for yourself, if any, at the moment? And how do you balance it all, and what your role at the store is?
Yeah, so I'm an education specialist, and so I work with students with disabilities and students that are English language learners. And I tell my students all the time, man, ones that have ADHD, I said, look, I know it's a struggle right now, but I promise you, when you're an adult, it's gonna be a blessing. I have ADHD, so I got energy all day. So that's what keeps me going. I'm the only teacher you'll ever meet that doesn't drink coffee. I wouldn't know what to do if I did drink coffee. So I just got a lot of energy from that aspect. My wife is just incredible. I mean, she just supports me so well. There's a lot of nights where she has to go to bed alone because I'm here putting in hours, rearranging shelves and cleaning and fixing tables and making and building next door. And so I think just the support of everybody around me has been fantastic to keep me going. My favorite hobbies, I'm Portuguese, so fishing is life. So my hobbies outside of this place is fishing with my dad, fishing with my brothers, fishing with my nephews. I'm also a big disc golfer, so I've got tea time tomorrow at 6:40 at Morley Field, and then me and my wife we're also in bowling leagues. So we're in 4 bowling leagues, and
Oh,
so
wow.
she loves bowling. So Mondays and Thursdays, after we get done cleaning, we head over to Parkway and we get our bowl on. And so those are like the other hobbies we do. And just to shout out, we also have an escape room as well. Shout out to Steal and Escape in National City, right down the street from us. #1 high-tech escape room in San Diego, multiple years in a row. So balancing careers, card shop, escape room. It's just basically living life and then taking a quick nap, waking up, and living life again.
That's a great positive attitude to have with it. And so the escape room is your business, one of your businesses?
Yeah, so it's actually a newly acquired business. I was originally, before opening the card shop, I knew I wanted to open something, and this is during COVID, when COVID was like very rampant. I started realizing the mobility of businesses was important. What could come to you versus you going out to something? And so me and Thomas from here started talking, and I said, hey, man, I love escape rooms. Me and my wife have done over 100 escape rooms in multiple states. So it's a real fun brain teaser type stuff. My wife is smart as a whip. It embarrasses me sometimes how smart she is and how dumb I feel. So we love doing escape rooms. And so I was like, we should do a mobile escape room. Let's go get a trailer. Let's get a 24-foot trailer. Let's retrofit it. Let's do Blackbeard pirate treasure style. And we started coming up with ideas, and I saw Steal and Escape, a room I had played at, was hiring. So I applied for the job. And so I got a call back, and they said, hey, we got to talk. I said, what's going on? She's like, well, what's the deal? So what do you mean? She's like, all right, you're a teacher, you got a master's degree. Why are you trying to work here as like a lower level $15 an hour employee? What's the deal? So I was just honest. I said, this is what I'm trying to do. I want to learn the ropes. I think this would be a great opportunity. They're building a brand new room. I could see a room go up from the ground up. That'd be awesome. I showed them my construction skills. They hired me. I worked with Jason and Keta, the owners of it. We built Missing Season, which was their third room from the ground up. It's an amazing room. He's such a whiz when it comes to, he's a retired Navy SEAL. He's such a whiz when it comes to electronics. And so I opened Tabletop Tavern during that time, realizing that was just a lot of work to build the rooms. It would take a lot of time to build the rooms. And so I just felt my two hobbies, escape rooms and card games, we just went with the card game. Thomas actually was the one who was kind of really pushing, like, we should just do card games, man. I feel like it'd be easier. It wasn't easier, but it's just the route we decided to go. Fast forward a little while, they reach back out to me and say, "Hey, you interested in owning Steal and Escape?" And I said, "Oh, that's a dream come true right there, baby." And so, we got together and we made some stuff happen. And yeah, so that's how it went down. And actually, one of my employees, Anthony, who works here at Tabletop Tavern, one of our best employees, he's over there running it for me right now. He's there running games for me.
That's very cool. What would you say, Jimmy, is your role on a day-to-day basis between, if we put the educator role on the side, which is your main job, but if you take between the game store, and I know you have somebody running the escape room, what would you say with the store itself is your primary day-to-day responsibilities?
So I'm in charge of everything except for Magic the Gathering. My brother only plays Magic the Gathering. My brother Mike, I mean, my big brother, like, what a dream, right? To be able to do such. Sorry, it chokes you up a little bit there. To do something so amazing with your older brother. So he only plays Magic the Gathering, so he's in charge of Magic. But I do everything else. I schedule all the games. I do all the meetings. I do stuff like this. I meet with Bandai. I do all the ordering with the distributors. I do all the fighting with distributors when they when they start messing up. So I do the scheduling. I do everything. And then it's nice that I don't have to worry about Match the Gathering. And then I direct the employees. I make the list. I delegate. And Anthony's amazing at flyers. I say, Anthony, these are the flyers I need pushed out this week. So during your shift, make and push out these flyers. John, I need these shelves stocked. I need this product. I need to take a picture for him. He takes care of that. But no, I am, and the motor. And they say I got a motor mouth too. So, but I am the motor behind this ship right here.
And ironic too, your older brother doing the Magic stuff, because you said that's been your favorite game since the get-go.
Yes, my favorite game because I get to play with him. And I also get to play with my little brother. My little brother, he works for my dad at Soltech. He's got a beautiful baby girl, and we play Magic with him too. It's just this wasn't in the cards for him, with all his responsibilities he has, or he'd be right here with us. But yeah, no, I love Magic because I get to play with my big brother.
I love the family dynamic, and I love how I could hear it in your voice how much your brothers mean to you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And our logo is a yellow hippo. One of my best friends in the whole world, Navy guy, Justin. We lost him during COVID, right when COVID happened. 32 years old, got COVID and passed away. His favorite animal was a hippo. Favorite color was yellow, and he was the fourth person on our commander pod. If it wasn't me, Mike, and my little brother Scott and Justin in the commander pod, it was me, Mike, and Thomas and Justin in the commander pod, and I just know he would have been right here with us. So when he passed away from COVID and we decided to open this, we had to pay homage to him. So we made sure our logo was a yellow hippo for that guy.
That's a great thing, and I'm so terribly sorry for your loss, but I'm glad you're carrying on his legacy through the
Oh,
store. I think that's a
absolutely.
great thing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're a good man, Jimmy.
Oh, you're too kind, man. Thank you.
Of course. And so, what are some when you look at the where you're at right now with the store? You have these ideas going through. You have the escape room. You have a bunch of things going on, and you have the energy to do it, which is phenomenal. What would you say is something either currently that's going on or something that has happened during the store's lifespan that's been a real big positive that you've been like, wow, this is not something I expected to happen?
The community, honestly. I've worked when I was going to SDSU. I worked as a custodian. I worked as a in the bookstore as a customer service person, right? And I got nobody likes customer service. Customer service sucks.
It's
People
tough.
they think that you're there to get used and abused. But one thing that has been so positive from this is the community and how they treat us. I got buddies that come to my house now that were customers here. I have birthday parties I get invited to, weddings I get invited to, and it's all customers that are from here that just met Jimmy from Tabletop Tavern, the guy with the beard. We we were having sushi the other day at Little Sakana, and I'm walking out of the sushi place, and the waiter runs up on me and goes, "Hey, is that John from Tabletop Tavern?" My employee John is also my best friend. And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that is. You should go get him." He runs out, shakes his hand, takes a picture with them. And those kind of interactions with people who have come here has been the best part in realizing there are people all around San Diego who are on their phones texting each other, "Hey, we going to tabletop tonight? Hey, what's up?" Well, they work so hard in today's society. Everybody is working so hard, and to know that you're on somebody's mind that they're looking forward to every week. I can't wait for Saturday to go to tabletop. I can't wait to meet my buddies at tabletop after a long work week and play some games. And to be part of that, to me, is unreal. I never realized the impact that would have on me, realizing, like, whoa, I created something that has changed people, has changed the routine, changed their interactions. And that, I think that's the most impactful thing of anything that we've done.
This episode of The Match Slip is sponsored by Crash CityCon, Roanoke, Virginia's premier gaming and fan convention. It's tabletop gaming at its best. In addition to role-playing games, board games, there are vendors, and so much more. Play with some of the top game masters in the area, enjoy a casual game in their open gaming area, or learn to play games you always wanted to play. You could check out more information at crashcitycon.com.
That escapism is so crucial to have in the grind of day-to-day life.
Yeah. And to just hang out and to be able to do this with your best buddies. I mean, Thomas and John are just my best buddies in the world. My brothers are, just the most incredible people. And to be able to do this with those guys and then to have that impact and to meet all these incredible players, it's been a ride that I wish I could ride over and over again.
It's almost like being on cloud nine. It's like that euphoria of like, is this a dream?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's bad days, man. But as we say, flowers don't grow without rainy days.
Of course. Yeah. You got to take the good with the bad. It's going to happen. So it's how you bounce and react to it. That's the key.
Absolutely. And we do a thing. We did it in education, me and my wife. We have a calendar on the wall. And every good day we cross out with a fun color, whether it be purple, green, whatever. And every bad day we cross out with red. And at the end of the month, we look back at the calendar, and it's just a reminder that there's so many more good days than bad days. When you just feel like those bad days impact you so much, but when you have that visualization, you look back and you're like, dude, I felt like this month sucked, but we only have 3 red X's, and the rest are fun colors. That means this was a great month, And so that realization that the bad isn't that bad sometimes, or you can evolve and adapt and come back from the bad is always good.
I love the positivity, and it's a great way to look at it, and it's a great technique to use just to really almost refocus yourself to, because you can get lost in the clouded day-to-day of things. And so I think to have that reflection point that you and your wife came up with, I think that's a brilliant tactic. I think more people could definitely benefit from it. And I just think it's your whole way of going about things, Jimmy, I think is a very smart way to go about it because, like in anything in life, business can be hard. And what you're doing is, I think you're keeping the fun aspect of it and always trying to find the enjoyment of it. Would I be assessing that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We try to spin everything we can to a positive. Like, I'll be honest with you, we had a 17-year-old kid smash our windows, break in, and try to rob us. Thank God we have ADT security, so he got arrested. And he was looking at 3 felony charges, and the court system reached out to us and was like, "Can we do a mediation?" I said, absolutely, absolutely. Let's do a mediation. And so through that, we were able to rehabilitate and help this person realize that that wasn't the route to go. And there was no bad feelings. There was no bad blood. We got to have a conversation. He got to apologize, and through that, the juvenile court system, we were able to join this program that they have, where people that are in that same situation can have an outlet. So we're working with them right now. For Saturday mornings, we open at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're working with them. They have a program already built within the judicial system. A lot of boxing gyms and soccer coaches and stuff already do this, and we're getting involved with it now, where kids in that juvenile system who have made bad choices can come to Tabletop Tavern and learn how to play Pokemon, learn how to play fun card games. I mean, he was a fan of card games. That's why he broke into a store to steal Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right? Because he likes card games. And so now working with the judicial system to bring people in to learn these games and show there's joy out there outside of what you hear in music and you see on social media is our next venture of helping the community and trying to turn that negative situation into a positive one.
I think, Jimmy, I think you have it all correct with how you're running a store. I think leaning into the positivity, I think, is definitely, from just an outsider's point of view, seeing what you're doing, hearing your story that you've shared, is I think what's drawing that community back to you and why you're able to expand and do all these things, because you recognize that, that without the people there, it's just a store with walls and a door.
Absolutely. Without a community, you're just a store. That's all you are. We have become a place. We've become a home to some people. We have people that are here every day, and they're just like, I've been depressed at home alone. I have a studio, or I rent a room from strangers from Craigslist, and I'm just depressed. And I come to Tabletop Tavern every day, except for Mondays, obviously. But I come to Tabletop Tavern every day, and I have friends, and I have community, and I meet new people, and I play games. We have a lot. We're San Diego. We're a military hub. And think about those poor guys defending our country and women who defending our country, who have to move around so much and they can't make those connections. And so many of them are now calling us home because, hey, my buddies that I play Magic the Gathering with are back in Mississippi and I'm in San Diego, but I go to Tabletop Tavern and I find a lot of people just like me, and I get in random pods and play. And it's been fantastic. We really appreciate all they do for us, and we're happy to be able to do something for them.
Without a doubt. Agreed 100%. So what is one thing, Jimmy, that you are looking forward to for the future of the store that maybe we haven't talked about, or something that's been like brewing in your mind?
Well, I'm a little secret out here then.
Okay.
So the escape room is over in some warehouses, some industrial warehouses in National City, and so there's 2 warehouses there, and the escape rooms are housed in one, and then the command center, as you will, to run the escape rooms is in the other one. But mainly that warehouse was meant for construction, for building the escape rooms. That's what we would cut the wood and make all the puzzles and do the Arduinos and do the Raspberry Pis, right? And now they're building. Well, that's all done. Those rooms are running. This warehouse is essentially not being utilized. So Tabletop 2 is on its way to National City, and we are going to use that second warehouse, that is just massive, to build another card shop for that community who just is struggling to get south. Gas prices are crazy. I don't want you to drive 45 minutes to get here just to feel part of this amazing community, just to see your friends. I want to build one a little closer to you, so that maybe on the weekends you come down here, but on the weekdays you have somewhere to go. So the next vision is Tabletop 2. It won't be called Tabletop 2. We got to think about what we want to call it. But it's going to be the next expansion, and it's going to be connected to that escape room and that open warehouse there. And I just can't wait.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. I can't wait to hear when it's all said and done. And then once you can announce it to so that we can see like the pictures of it and how it's going to look, I'm sure that's going to be an awesome thing.
That's
So, yeah, definitely, man. And my final question for you is more so of just getting I guess the best visual picture we can give, since we're not at the store currently. At least you are. I'm not. But if you can give me like a little visual picture of like people walk into the store, what do they see when they walk in?
If you walk into the retail side, the first thing you see on our left-hand side, we have a giant 3-panel bulletin board style that actually came from a school, and it's full of our top 3 players. So the first thing you see when you walk into Tabletop Tavern is not us, not product, not stuff. It's yourself. You see your accomplishments on that wall when you walk in. And the second thing you see when you walk in the Tabletop Tavern is John's electric smile right there. You know, he is absolutely the face. That's why when I'm walking through public, I get stopped to ask if that's John from Tabletop Tavern, because his smile is infectious, and you'll see that smile. And when you walk into the playroom, the first thing you see is Skeletorch, our bearded dragon. He's the dragon of Tabletop. He's the mascot. Everybody loves him. And then you see our tournament organizer desk, where either Anthony or Leah or stuff here, they're greeting you to walk in. And then you just see the energy that's in here, and you're like, oh my God, I can't. It's too many people. I don't know where to sit. And then we're like, don't you worry. This pod right here is looking for a player. Come on in. And of course, you'll see all the posters and everything around the wall, and you're like, well, I didn't even know they had a new Star Wars game, right? And so that's what you see when you first walk in the Tabletop Tavern. And then after all that, you see the product, right? Selling the product is what keeps this place alive. Selling the product is what pays our brand, pays our bills, pays our employees. And then when you see the product, you look at it and go, wait, everybody's selling that for like $50. What do you mean it's $19.99? I was like, we're not resellers. We're not resellers. Retail stores have got into the reseller mentality. They're seeing everybody flipping. They're watching YouTube videos, watching TikTok. Oh, I went to Target and I fought the restock guy and I took the whole tray and I'm flipping it and I'm making so much money, right? Like, the retail stores have started to have that mentality, but we're getting it from the distributors. We shouldn't have that mentality. And I'm so glad that I was early in my game playing career. We had a really cool store in IB that was run by a guy named Pops. Can't even tell you what his real name was, because everybody called him Pops. He recently passed away, RIP. And he was such a great guy. And then to meet Sean at Brute Force Games, a guy who just does it right and understands the community, and to see that, and to see that there's stores out there still doing it right, gave us the motivation to do it as well. And so I think that's the gist of Tabletop Tavern, right? Community, fair pricing, and a place that you can be safe.
And I'm guessing too, it's great to be able to have those stores that have been around, say, longer, to be able to lean on to gather insight and feedback from too.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times Sean's helped us with just, hey, bud, how do I do this? Hey, what's your thought on this? And it's never been like, oh, you're competition, I ain't helping you. It's always been like, oh man, I remember when I tried to figure that out. Let me tell you how to do that. Or, hey, our biggest thing is we're not toe steppers. You know, when an event comes out, lots of stores get them. What's the problem with having a conversation like, hey, what day are you running yours? Oh, what day are you running yours? I don't want to run it the same day you're running yours. I'm not trying to take away your business. I'm not trying to divide the community. Man, these guys want to play together. How about they play with you on Saturday and then I'll run it Sunday and they can play together again. And so that's been huge as well.
Yeah, the camaraderie I've heard amongst all you game store owners is just awesome. Well, Jimmy, that brings us to the end of the episode here. I greatly appreciate you coming on. It's been a fun time talking with you, hearing about the store. I think you're doing great things, bringing a lot of positivity out there as well, which I personally appreciate. So with that being said, where can people find out more about the store and connect with it online?
I think, and thank you for having me. This was way more fun than I ever could imagine. When I got that email, I was like, oh, what's going on here? I'm so glad I responded. Thank you for having me. This has been a great time. If you're trying to find us here at Tabletop Tavern, the number one spot to check us out is on Instagram at the TCG Tavern, or check us out on our Twitch at the TCG Tavern as well. Or you can go to our website where you can see our events and stuff as well at www.tabletoptavern.co, not .com, .co. They won like $250,000 for tabletoptavern.com. We got a .co for like $1. So check us out for sure.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to link everybody off to that in the show notes for this episode so they can check it out. Jimmy, again, it's been my pleasure having you on. Thank you again.
I appreciate you, Frank. You have a wonderful day, brother.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye bye.